I was going to tell you about my permanent eyebrow.
Your
Um,
eyebrow, motorcycle gang. There's so much going on here. What is happening? Let me get my cup of coffee and some popcorn.
And I'm highly uncomfortable. I have COVID. I don't know how long I can hang in on this episode. So continue, but
You
oh,
have a
okay, but
special strain of
keep it
COVID at
like
least,
let's get
so
to
that's
the
good.
point. Don't
Yeah,
don't talk too much, Jen.
we have some
Okay.
good news to go over.
Yeah, so update. Andrew and I, we climbed to the top of the motorcycle gang ladder.
oh,
We
again,
both
you
You're
lost a bunch of
Andrew.
people already. Yeah, your husband, Andrew.
Oh, yes, yes, yes. Sorry,
And
sorry.
Julie on
My
our team, who
husband.
just released her book, her husband's is Kevin. So it's really confusing
Oh,
names
okay,
here.
let me clarify. My husband Andrew and I,
Mr. Barkin.
yes, Mr. Barkin, climbed to the top of the motorcycle club rankings.
That was quick.
Did you have to
Yeah,
whack
man.
someone to make
We
that happen? How do you
I
get to the
can't
top?
I can't well, I guess I could discuss it now that I'm no longer in the
You're
in the
informants for the FBI, I'm pretty
yeah.
sure.
Um
Hmm.
we both ended up, becoming presidents of our respective clubs.
Sounds like you said yes to
And
everything.
yeah, well, like it was a whole election. We were voted in. It was a whole
There's
thing.
no fraud. Okay,
Um,
good.
but both being super competitive, once you reach the top, it's like, all right, what's next? And it
Mm.
was just becoming a lot, and there was, contrary to what a lot of people might think, there was some drama and there's some stuff that, we just
Of course
really
there's
were kind of,
drama. Of
yeah, we
course
were
there
just
is.
like, we'd rather go like play golf and do a bowling league on Wednesday nights. So that's what we have decided to do. So we have left.
I support that.
We did not get what's it called? We weren't kicked out. We weren't stomach
Banished.
punched.
Clearly not. You're
Excommunicated.
Stomach
alive.
punched.
Yeah.
Center punched. Center punched
Center punch,
is
okay.
if you're put out bad, that's what it's called. So we
Man.
were not put out bad. We gracefully left. And yeah, we're just having a good time now. I don't
Yeah,
have to
I
worry
agree.
about it.
Cut any, not saying it was the negative thing, but
Yeah.
I'm all for, like, if that's not bringing you anything positive,
It
get rid
wasn't
of
bringing
that.
too much joy, right? It
Yeah.
was
Even
becoming
people.
more,
That sounds really
yeah,
rude, but like,
yeah, it was
if you don't
definitely
have time, you don't have
becoming.
time.
Mhm. So now I'm doing a golf league, doing a
That
bowling
sounds more
league.
frustrating to me, golfing.
Well, I definitely have to talk to myself like, this is just practice. Although I am on a team and
Ooh,
we do have a leaderboard,
okay.
and, I'm challenging myself to get better every
So
week.
prediction in 2024 is that might be gone because golfing is just frustrating. It's a
Hey,
hard sport.
It's
is the
hard.
is the international show in Vegas again next year? I think it is.
It is in
Hmm.
Vegas. Yeah,
All right.
24.
Well, whatever day is the lightest, we'll just go on the win course,
Yeah.
Let's
and
do
we'll
it.
have.
Let's just do 3 holes. That's plenty.
No, you got to do at least
At
9.
least
We could do
9.
9. We could do
Kevin,
9.
are you good? Do you golf?
Of course, how do I used to be good ish.
Okay.
I mean, if you get under 100 and you don't play very often, that's pretty
Yeah,
good.
that's
Right?
good.
Yeah.
100
Yeah.
for the first 9?
Ha.
No.
No, I
That might be me.
yeah, my old boss was really big on golfing, and my rule was golf is both expensive and time consuming. So when you're in your early 30s and you have 4 kids, it's like I'm only golfing when I can do it
Right.
for work during work
Right.
hours. So now that no one that I work with basically is like, "Hey, Kevin, let's go golfing," I don't golf. I do Top Golf now.
Top golf
with
sounds
the,
better.
with the
I love
kids.
Top Golf.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just never got into golfing, but it might have been that, like, I just very quickly realized to be good at this, I need X amount of swings per week at, like,
Mm-hmm.
each whatever,
Okay,
driving, putting, mid range, whatever the heck the thing is, short game, middle, long
Kevin, I'm
game.
going
I
to
have no
hold you
idea.
to this. We're doing golf.
Yeah, no, we should
We're
get
doing
we'll
golf.
get like
Yes.
I don't know what 8
I'll go golf.
I don't know,
It'll be
6, 8
fun,
foursomes,
but
and we'll do
Let's
like
do
a
it.
little thing. Yeah.
Thursday, we'll have to see his speaking schedule, but yeah, Thursday morning, Thursday afternoon.
Whenever. Yeah.
There you go. As long as it doesn't snow.
It's a it's
What if
a
it
it's a
snows?
nice little course there they have.
Oh, yeah, I'm
Yeah.
sure.
I've
Nice
seen it
little.
from, like, the window, a bunch of
Nice.
floors up. Like, oh, it looks nice
Yeah.
out there.
It'll do. It'll do.
It'll
It'll
do.
do. It will do. Man,
All right.
what a life.
We were talking about new home stuff now.
Yeah, let's do it.
Marketing.
I want to talk a little bit about Nepal, but that's what story time is for, I guess. All right, let's go.
Story time.
Welcome to episode 296. I'm Kevin Oakley, and with me today is Andrew Peak and Jen Barkin. Jen finally stopped standing us up. It's been what, 3 months since you've been
No,
here?
sir.
I was getting hate mail like, "What's
least a
going
month.
on?
Sir.
Where's Jen?"
It hasn't been that long ago.
2 months.
I think
Jesse
there's
on
been at
last?
least, someone fact check. Jen has not been
I
around.
think I was
She's
traveling somewhere.
You've been busy
Mike was
opting and traveling and speaking and
Yeah, I think I was visiting a client.
yeah, we don't have those.
So that's a
We have
pass.
builder
You were
partners.
You were
I was
working.
I was visiting a partner.
You were working.
Yes.
Oh, I love it. All right, story time. Let's go. And
Great
Jen,
song.
Oh, I get
Lead
to
us
go
off.
first.
yes.
Oh, I love this story time because my son, Sam, you guys,
I
I've talked
saw
about
this
him
today.
before. Yes. So he came to me in the spring actually and was like, I think I'm interested in real estate. So really? He was like, yeah, I really am interested in this. And I said, okay, like
Yeah,
sell.
easy money industry. Everyone
Well,
should be.
he's like,
It's the only
he's
thing
like,
that's real.
yeah, he's like, I said, like selling, like what are $1 million listing guy? Like what part of it is
He was on
interesting? He's like,
Netflix.
yeah, he's like, I don't know, just all of it. And I said, okay. So a couple months went by. He came home from college and he was like, came to me again and said, I am really interested. And I said, okay, well, let's see if there's any builders in our area that are doing any sort of summer internship. I don't know. Let's just check and see. Called some friends, said, hey, what's going on? And they said, yeah. And so I said, okay, Sam, I'm stepping out. This is all on you. I'm making the introduction. Now don't embarrass me.
Yeah.
Don't mess it up.
Yeah. And I even said that to our partner, I was like, hey, this is on you and him. And he figured out. Anyway, fast forward, he's been doing this now for a couple months. He loves it. He comes home and is like talking about it. He's like, man, this is awesome. Like, I could totally do this. He's like memorized the stuff on the website. He's memorized the plans.
Good.
He's talking about pricing. He's like, hey, this one couple came in. They were just lovely. And, they wanted this home. And I got him to, get the larger home because why not go for the larger home? And he's like talking all this stuff. And I'm just like, man, that is so refreshing. I mean, he is like, he came in my office the other day and sat down and was like, let's talk about Lasso CRM.
You're like, oh God,
okay.
what did I create?
I'm
What
like,
happened here?
I'm like, okay, tell me. And then he's like, let's talk about the online sales appointments. And, and it just reminded me, one, like, I'll take any day, I'll take somebody who is inexperienced, but is passionate, is excited, is hungry to learn. That energy is, I mean, that's what it's all about. That's what it's all about. And so, they're paying him whatever this internship pay is, right? It was nothing, but he's just so excited. He's just there to learn. And, I was thinking about this because we're helping a lot of our partners hire right now. And the question is always like, do I look for this experienced person that's, out there that's been in real estate and I'm like, no, like you don't need that. We can teach them how to be an online sales specialist. Yep. You can teach them how to be a salesperson. You can teach them all those things, but you can't teach that, that excitement and hunger and drive and, that you have when you're brand new. So, I've always, Kevin, you and I have talked about this. I've always been a big advocate of, hey, look at college, college intern, get a college intern,
right?
Train them up, mold them, get them in and teach them and bring them up.
You don't have to be like the nice internship company. Like you can pay them and you can, I'm just saying,
pay them.
You don't, sorry, I didn't come out right. Again, I do have COVID, folks, so bear with me. I'm also way more excited to be here than my voice sounds. But there are folks who craft internships, and like my niece has been in some where you hear what she's done and she didn't really do anything. Like they almost crafted like an internship experience, like if Disney made an internship, and you're like, okay, but there was no skill learned or like work done. It was just like, yay, us, we have an intern, yay, intern, they like our company.
Cute.
You don't have to have that pressure. Again, I always go back to one internship I had for the summer. My job was to scan in slides of pictures that have been taken all over the world and categorize them. That's all I did.
That's
right. And technology back then sucked so badly that you'd hit the button and it would scan in 5 slides at a time, and it took almost an hour. And so I would hit the button once an hour and then read a John Grisham book and then plug in, everything that was in each picture so they could have a searchable archive of all these images. Mm-hmm. It was not like that experience isn't going on TikTok or Instagram Reels, but it's a job that needed to be done. So I think a lot of people don't create an internship position because they're like, I don't think I have something cool enough for them to work on or some special big project. Like, just tell them to go sweep out the houses under construction if you want to.
I had my internship was opposite. It was for the American Red Cross in Tallahassee, where I went to school, and they were setting up their command center for when hurricanes came. They had this massive grant from something. It was like 100 something computers, and I worked alongside the guy who actually knew what he was doing. I didn't know. So we set up 100 stations. We I don't know what the word is, but deployed each desktop from like a server, like all this cool stuff. And then it taught me I hated that type of job. So I was like, this is done with. Cool. It looks good on a resume, but I'm like, oh my goodness, this is.
But it's a good way for you to figure out what you like and what you don't like, right?
Sam had sales experience before, though. Didn't he work at Foot Locker, I think?
Oh, Foot Locker, man.
Did he lean on that? I'm curious if he leaned on that and during his, because it's really
of course he did.
Sales is sales. You're just selling something different.
Yes.
But you should sell the coolest thing possible, which is a house. Like, I think that's probably like you can geek out about details of a shoe, I'm sure, but I mean, the average individual you're trying to sell to probably only wants to hear about 3 of the 72 things you think are cool. Yeah. Whereas if he likes differential demonstration and if he likes sales, I don't know, like, why would you not want to sell a house?
It would be better.
He told me
that or drugs.
He told me last week that
you don't have to sell drugs, just
pharmaceutical drugs.
He told me last week that this feels very natural to him, and he's
cool.
He's just super excited. So yeah, I'm really happy for him.
That's great. Andrew?
Yeah, mine's a quick one. So summer's almost over. Actually, when you listen to this, be around the first day of school for our kiddos. We have a middle schooler this year. What in the world? Like, it makes me feel like,
hold on to your butts.
I'm like, oh, I'm so old now. I got you'll see me at the summit. Like, you'll be like, man, what's this gray stuff coming into Andrew's beard? Looking like
what happened to Mike.
Looking like mini Mike over there. I'll be looking like.
Has he been dyeing his hair for a long time then, or what? What's that about?
No,
my mom suddenly stopped dyeing her hair one day.
Teenagers, and then it just all goes gray.
Okay,
so just
crazy.
There's just one Thanksgiving I remember my mom just stopped dyeing her hair, and she went from I didn't know she was dyeing her hair, and then all of a sudden
you were like what?
It's like, wow, Mom.
My mom's not listening. That would be her, my mother.
Did you point it out? Like, Mom, what's with your hair?
Yeah. I mean, I'm her son, so I can say whatever I want, right? I was just like, Mom.
Oh my gosh.
It wasn't a bad look. It was just shocking. It was like, Mom, what happened? And she's like,
so silvery, Mom.
That was me during COVID. Are you going to do something?
What's happening here? Here's the employee handbook.
No, it looks distinguished. I've always wondered why people dye their hair like that, but I mean,
Oh man, I don't think I could go through the growing out stage. That would be.
Okay, anytime we start talking about anything related to fashion, I become highly uncomfortable. So let's move on.
So,
Andrew, back to you.
So back to this. So kids start school next week. So summer's been, summer is a blessing. Get to see the kids way more often, but it's also like, oh my goodness, can you working from home? Like, can you be consistent with your schedule? Me talking to the kids, because hey, it's breakfast time. Can you help me out? I'm like, kiddos, it's 1:30. Like, what are you talking about? Like, my day's almost over. It's halfway done. So I'm like, okay, cool. I'm gonna adjust my schedule. So this week I've flopped around my schedule. Usually I get up in the morning. there's a point to the story. And like, I go straight to the gym. Since my birthday or April, so I'm like, I'm just not feeling that, like getting up and going there and like, oh my goodness, like not fun. But I do like just wake up at that time naturally, like without alarm, like 4:30 to 5. I'm awake. So this week I'm like, I'm gonna try just working for a couple hours until like what would be 7 or so, when I would have to next week get the kids ready. But it's been nice. Oh my, I forget how nice those times are where like no one can talk to me, even though I can at times ignore or like delay a response in email or Slack if it's not emergency or if it's something that isn't bottlenecking someone else. I'm like, okay, I could get to that at like 4:30 or 4:45.
Like, but there's Slacks from Jen asking
Slacks
about,
from Jen when she's like, asking weird questions, how to hack
questions.
HubSpot and all this stuff like that. How do we get around two-factor? I could, I'm like, oh, I'll get that later. But it's been, so I'm kind of like gaining 2 hours of work time, which is amazing. And then, you know, kids leave earlier because my oldest is in middle school. So they're out of the house by 7:40. I'm like, this is great. So I have like 40 minutes to get them ready. So I'm like, I'm gaining almost like 2.5 hours of time with this new schedule that I have. It's nice. It's beautiful. I love it. So again, working from home, or we're
I think there's a couple of things there, like Andrew. One is like,
and it can be more productive.
Shifting your schedule, even if it's the same amount of time. In this case, you're gaining some time, but even if it's the same amount of time, a shift is helpful in lots of ways. It just gets you out of a rut.
Oh, for sure.
You know, can potentially change or create the opportunity for change of many things just by making that change in any schedule. The second thing I love is the chaos that it creates for everyone else in your life, trying to figure out what your new schedule is. It's like a fun little extra game within the game. Like when I was actually working for real companies, that's a joke. It's a joke.
We always,
because we're always like, I guess we're a real company now.
20 some odd.
I would always tell different people different days that I was getting back from vacation. Like my boss knew the real day, but I would always tell like 3 different dates. So no one really knew when I was coming back. And it was just awesome because you're back for like a full 24 hours before the whole company would realize you're back and you could catch up. But just changing your schedule means that other people have to become aware that your schedule has changed. And that gives you, it's the same advantage that people who live on the West Coast have, right? Like they send us who live on the East Coast things to do, and we're always behind. Like they leave the office and they're like at 5 o'clock their time, they're like, there you go. And we wake up and we've got this thing to do. And, you know, so it's kind of just, there is an advantage to getting up earlier simply because you are always ahead.
Yeah, agreed. And what I needed it for is like one, not a rut, but just as far as like when you work from home, I see the same. There's my window. There's the, like, if I don't leave the house like that,
so
2 days that like I feel like I'm going crazy. So you need a change of environment. So this changes that up for me. I'm like, oh, it's dark outside. Cool. This feels different enough for me. And now I could shift like, all right, here's these must do's are in the morning now versus later prior to this. I'm like, okay, cool. I'll get to that. Next thing you know, it's 4 o'clock. I have to do these other things that are, you know, builder partner work. It has to get done. So this is like, okay, cool. Those things will have to get done anyways. Like I'm not stopping my day until they're done. But here's this other set of things that really have to be done, but can kind of be kicked down.
Does this you mean you're going to become no longer a night person? Or wait, the reverse. Because I remember
I'm still a morning person.
He's never been a night person.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. I just remember
I'm just like adjusting my morning until I talk to people.
Yeah.
Well, you're one of the first people I ever worked with who said something like I just go to bed when I go to bed. Like I can't stay up and keep working.
Yeah, I can't.
But I'll wake up as early as I need to, and it's no big deal to get something done.
I'll get up at 3 to do a project.
Whereas I'm like, I'll work till like 1 a.m.
I'll just not sleep.
Yeah.
Because in my mind, like, all right, it needs to be done at, let's say there's something crazy as far as schedule, like either stay up late until 1 to do it, and it's due the next day at 8 a.m., or just get up at 3 and you have from 3 to 8. Like it's kind of the same thing.
What's your natural wake up time, Kevin?
Natural is probably a 6:45.
Okay. So like weekend, like if you don't have to get up, you're still waking up and getting up at 6:45?
I'm still waking up around then. And then I usually unsuccessfully try to tell myself to go back to sleep on the weekend.
But you don't.
Yeah. We were on our vacation like a couple weeks ago. We had a couple crazy nights. We were out till like 2 or 3 in the morning because like, why not? Even then I'd wake up at like 7:30
How did you do that?
Well, of course, then I like took a nap later today, but I'm like, I'm awake. Like, what in the world? Like, let's get some breakfast. Let's go. That's crazy. Kevin, what do you got?
My story time. So I went to Nepal last week, and it's a 9 hour and 45-minute time change.
Woo.
You have to look up on Wikipedia why it's 45 minutes and not a full hour. Something about the meridian of every country determines which time zone it's supposed to be in. The meridian is the exact center of the country. And then that put too many of the population in you didn't want to have two time zones in a country as small as Nepal. Anyway, so the exact other half of the world. And what I really wanted to talk about today is just the absolute fun it is as a curious individual who loves how human psychology works to be dropped in a new culture that you have no exposure to, a language you have no hope of understanding. Like when we go to Guatemala, and I don't speak Spanish great, but I know how to say good morning. I know how to say where's the bathroom, like 50 common phrases, and I can understand when people are, you're like, your mouth moves in like similar motions.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, I want to like in Nepali, I want to learn how to say like, hi, how are you doing? And it's like, I'm like, I give up. I can't. I just tried to use Google Translate, and we had translators with us.
Close.
But like people watching is always a fun thing. People watching in a culture you have no connection to at all is wild. And it like just sensory overload. It was so much fun to try to orient yourself to that. And I think it was just a really good exercise of what marketers should always be doing in relationship to our customers. Of you can't just make assumptions. You can't not be curious, not be interested. You can't ever think you know. But in this case, it was all like, whether you wanted to pretend that you were comfortable and understood, you didn't. You were starting out at zero. But I was with a couple other folks all week, and they never caught, like we're there for a whole week and they're still like, what did he say? Like our translator who's speaking English, they're still just like, what?
Yeah.
I can't understand what he's saying or what is happening. And I found myself, I think just because of that natural curiosity and body language and context of, for whatever reason, by like Wednesday, I'm like, I know what's going on. I don't really know what's going on, but like this one lady,
comfortable with the uncomfortable, like you started to get like okay with the,
well, I think it's also just learning, which is my favorite thing in the world to do, is to learn. So I'm just constantly absorbing and trying to translate that, and how do all the pieces fit together? And so this one example is we were in a remote village, and this woman, there's a gentleman there who this wasn't what we did all the time, but find out that the guy is depressed, and the wife and all the family's there, and the wife just starts going off like my wife would, which helped. So she just talk, and she's making hand motions, and I'm like, she's really mad at her husband because she wants to talk and be expressive, and he holds everything in, and she doesn't understand why he can't just talk and be like and connect with her.
Mm-hmm.
I understood nothing of what she was saying, but I was like, I recognize that. And so one of the things I told people is going to Nepal taught me to look at someone's eyes, because eyes are the same everywhere. Mm-hmm. And I think that's the other thing. Anyway, I don't even know what the context of all this is, other than be insanely curious.
Yeah.
And attentive. I think that's the other thing. Like in art school, when I would take studio classes, the first thing they teach you to do in drawing class is you're connecting your eye with your hand. Most people don't look to see the actual thing. We're abstracting. We're like, oh, that's a bird. And you don't actually look at all the intricate details of the bird. You're just like, this is a bird. My brain says that birds are shaped like this, so let's draw this thing. I'm like, no, just as your eye moves, move your hand. It's that same kind of connection that it's just especially refreshing when you do not get in a rut, but you start to over assume, or you think you've got something down, and you stop paying attention. And that's when you miss the market shifts or the consumer shifts.
Preach.
And we have the advantage of what we do. It is an advantage. We don't try to hide it. Working with so many different companies in so many different places, we're kind of always in this mode of like, we're having to take what the builder is bringing to the call or what the data says, and we're abstracted away from it because we don't live in Iowa or California or wherever. So we can pick up those same cues. Anyway, it's just a really cool experience, and made me realize that like we have to keep being curious and attentive all the time.
Oh my gosh, like
excel.
I love what you're saying. I love what you're saying because, I take that and I think about it for online sales, and I talk to them all the time about like, how do you active listen? You have to be curious and ask questions. Like if you're doing all the talking, you're not learning anything about them. Like if you were there, in Nepal, like you were observing, you were active listening, you were not interrupting.
I didn't have a choice. I couldn't talk. So that's all I could do was take it in.
Right. In online sales, I tell them all the time, like, ask questions, repeat back to people when they tell you something. That helps you learn and connect with them more, right? Don't interrupt. I love that.
And then the really like final connection piece that was interesting is how they use TikTok there. TikTok in Nepal is not a performance art or even a storytelling art the way it is here. It's so prevalent and used by everyone for everything that everyone would want selfies or group pictures with us because we look strange to them, right? And so they're like, hey, let's get a picture. And someone would take a couple pictures, and then someone would be holding up the phone like this, Jen, and they would just do this. And we're like, hi, like we're all cheese and pickles.
Are we done
like,
yet? Are we done?
Are you going to take the picture? They're just recording a TikTok with no sound, no nothing. It's just going to get posted as, here is this group of people standing, which, I mean, maybe that stuff gets made and it just doesn't hit the algorithm in the US TikTok, but it was just like,
interesting.
Yeah, it was different. And so, yeah, it was a blast. I would always get out of your comfort zone.
I loved your pictures.
Push yourself.
Mean, your pictures, like just came to life. But, as I was looking at them, they're just awesome.
Did you, what equipment did you bring for pictures?
What equipment?
Yeah.
Are we talking nerd talk? Okay. So
just like, okay. Oh no.
All right. I got to go now.
Open up this can of worms.
I got to go.
Oh my goodness.
No, this is it. Cause we are an audio show primarily,
but I knew it had to be simple as far as
the Insta Go 3.
Okay.
So it looks like a GoPro.
It does
here.
Oh.
And,
there we go.
But the cool thing is the camera pops out. And so you can use the screen, still see what you're recording, but I could inconspicuously, it comes with a magnetic chest mount. So like Iron Man.
That is cool.
So I could just record up to 45 minutes with it just stuck right here. No one even really looked at it. It's completely inconspicuous.
It doesn't look like a camera.
And it's magnetic, so you can also just stick it on any metal object you find. So you're riding a tuk-tuk and you want to get a cool camera angle, you just boop, and it sucks on the side of the vehicle, and you're driving down the Nepali highway at 40 kilometers an hour with bikes, and it's just it's a blast.
What's the most interesting thing you ate?
Oh wow. So Tolly is yogurt. They really love their yogurt. So they like fermented yogurt with they grow mangoes there. That was interesting.
Mangoes. So they're like almost tropical weather, but then there isn't.
Was it hot?
Nepal is where Everest is, right? It's like right
yes.
there.
So I'm going to add to my LinkedIn profile that you
climbed Mount Everest.
I climbed Mount Everest because we were in the foothills of Mount Everest. I never saw it when I was on the ground. I did see it from the air. That was really cool. But
wow,
even though I was right in front of it, it's so tall and there's other tall mountains in front of it, you can't see it. Yeah, so there was lots of cameras, lots of gear. Maybe that's a separate blog post. But
very cool.
Yep. All right, on to the news. First up from sparktoro.com. This one's called An Employee's Guide to Building a Personal Brand. And article, of course, is great. That's why we pick it. But I'm just going to skip down to the personal brand rules for employees.
Yeah, that's perfect.
This was really interesting. So if you're feeling stuck, consider these guardrails. Everyone, please, like, the number of times that these guardrails have been avoided by people in this industry or just people generally that we all know. Like, please don't do that.
I can name names. I'm not naming names.
Don't name names, but be mindful of your role within your company. You might not be the company spokesperson. You're your own spokesperson. Don't say or do anything you wouldn't do at work. Give yourself topic guardrails. That's interesting. And that, similar to what I think we mentioned before, Mark Davidson had to say, and will say at the summit is, you can't have a brand unless you are restrictive. Like this concept of I'm going to be my full self. Your full self is too complex to be a brand. Yeah. Like that's why personal branding is tough in that, if you decide you're going to talk a little bit about everything, fewer people will connect with that, with your personal brand, because you're just all over the place. And those people who know you and just like you for you, that's fine. But giving yourself topic guardrails will improve your audience growth and your sanity. And then when in doubt, stick with what you know.
Agreed. I like it. I wish I could add another one, because someone on our team, I want to say the full story, but like, she's like, look at this garbage. And it was a salesperson posting, they made their own graphic using the brand's logo, the company's logo.
Oh, no.
And it was just terrible. It was just awful. The fonts were wrong, like, but it looked like the brand made it. And so then that should be another one on there, like proper use of branding guidelines, which is of course nerdier, but like the person there, I think they're not being incentivized, but they're being encouraged to like use their own social media to like get referrals and sales and whatnot. But like, oh my goodness, like it'd be better if they just took an iPhone photo, honestly, without any branding, because then they throw the logo on there. It's like, oh, what is this garbage? Then it looks like the brand is like kind of messy. So that's an awkward one.
That's really a great article.
It is good.
There's so much.
And it's written by an employee at SparkToro, I believe, 99% sure. So I'm like, this is even better.
Yeah.
Well, I really like, this is a good piece lifted from the article. Don't say, I want to focus on my personal brand, because that's cringy and icky, just saying it out loud. Instead, try saying, I want to create leverage for myself. I want to make it easier to network with other people. And I want my ideas to serve as a magnet for the people and opportunities I want to attract. Yeah. And I think that's what, people are naturally connectors, or and go proactively networking. Or if you want to have a good network, you have to find reasons to draw people to you. And I like that definition a lot better of,
agreed.
The algorithms do the work for you. And that's why the topics do really matter, what you decide you want to talk about. If you're going to talk about gardening one day and sales the next, unless gardening was an analogy for sales, it's confusing even to the algorithms to know who should see this content. And once all the gardeners start interacting with your content, you might get de-emphasized to people who are interested in sales related content. So that's another way to, I don't think it's covered in the article, but just also think that you're trying to make sure that the algorithms understand what your personal brand is as well, in air quotes.
Agreed.
That makes sense.
Yeah. I think said another way is
stay
if you're posting,
focused on your,
Yeah. I think that was, I forgot his name on Instagram. It's like, here's how the algorithm works. And it's all what we assume. If people engage with your content, they'll see it more often. If they don't engage with your content, by engage, it isn't just like or comment. If they're watching it in their screen time, they'll see your stories more often if it's a story. So if you're all over the place, then the algorithm would be like, I don't know who to show this to. Now the 50 people that really liked it don't like you anymore. Maybe the next batch of people will. Who knows? Yeah.
Well, everyone famously, you're not supposed to put, if you want better reach on LinkedIn, do not put the link in your post. Has to be a link in the comments. Why? Because like all social networks, LinkedIn doesn't want people leaving. They want people staying. And so this is, again, where friction should exist between sales and marketing when salespeople come up with bad ideas or have bad habits. It's no different than when social media first came around. Everyone was like, well, you got to put our phone number and our hours on the post. Remember, like, I don't know if you remember that, Jen, like early Facebook's
yeah.
How are people going to know what to do if you don't give them your phone number, give them our hours, and put the physical address of the location and say, come see us today? Right. No one wants to interact with that garbage content. Again, you have to negotiate with the algorithms, and the algorithms have their own motives and their own things they're trying to achieve. They don't want people leaving. And so how weird does it feel to post a piece of content or a clip of a piece of content and not say, click here to go see the whole thing or click here to learn more? Every salesperson in the world would be like, these marketers don't know what they're doing. The marketers are like, if you want the biggest reach possible, we can't do that thing that you really want to do. You got to be patient.
Yeah. Well, that's hard, Kevin.
It is. It's hard for marketers too.
Who in the organization is responsible for, like, if you see sales doing something that is against this personal branding guidelines?
Their online sales coach. That's who's in charge.
Jen.
Of having that conversation.
Ask Jen. That's good.
That's really tough.
I mean,
who should be in charge of that?
I'm serious. Like,
well,
because there needs to be someone you can't say no to, in my opinion. Like, you cannot go against that person.
Is it marketing leadership? Is it sales leadership?
Listen, to me, this is one of the rules. I mean, if you're working at big companies, then this isn't a hard question, because let's be honest, the larger your company gets, people generally are more okay with being jerks to each other when necessary, right? You're just like, hey, you're doing this wrong. Stop it. I've CC'd 40 other people on this email, right? That's what you do in a big company. In a medium or small size company, it shouldn't matter who the person is or the title, right? And I think the bigger thing is the technique of saying, what are you trying to accomplish? And that's how you always get people to be great teammates. Is you don't say, stop doing that. I can't believe you used our logo inappropriately. Don't you understand? We have brand standards. Look at this. Demerits for you. You just say, what are you trying to do? How can we help?
Yeah, let me help you. I was going to say that's
how can we help you?
Yeah.
Agreed.
Oh, you want people to engage with your content over time. Okay, then we're not going to say. We're not going to say, well,
today. I want them to call today.
Okay, that's actually a great role play. So you want them to call you, Jen, right? Let's do this.
Yeah.
You want them to call you? Okay. Yeah. So no one wants to call someone they don't know and aren't sure yet if they even are interested in what you have to offer. And the little slice we're giving them doesn't have enough context. So what we have to do is go a couple steps before the call. What would be the thing that in the consumer's mind you think would happen before they choose to call you? What else would you like them to do? If they're not going to call you today, what's the thing that would lead them to calling you that you'd like them to do?
I'd like them to look at my website and get some information.
There we go. So you're helping them understand that we can get to where you want to go.
I just want them to call me.
We can't skip those steps.
No, but I say that, I'm not trying to be, but this is what happens, right? Is just put my number on there. Just, I want to talk to them, and
honestly, I think a lot of this goes back on marketers not looking far enough into the future. Again, we all can time travel. Just pull out a calendar and you can transport yourself into the end of next month, right? So if the salesperson is crying on the phone saying, I just want them to call me because they only have one sale in on a sales goal of 3 and they've only had 4 appointments the entire month. That's shame on everyone, managers, marketers, operations folks, who's been monitoring the data, knowing this person has no chance in hell of hitting their sales goal. And why do we let them just, fish, like look around like a lost fish in a fishbowl until the day before, and in a moment of panic say, I just need people to call me, buy a house today. All right, next up from Zillow's media room, Zillow and Redfin announced a partnership to help buyers and home builders connect. This is a big win-win-win all around for everyone, I think. So basically the content for new construction will come from Zillow's content library. They'll be syndicating the content through to Redfin. And in particular, because Redfin's had new construction content on it for a while, it's going to be adding the community pages and some of the additional product features that Zillow has created for the new construction product over the last several years. So Redfin gets better content to display to all of Redfin's users that they don't have to worry about building and maintaining. That comes through Zillow. Zillow gets additional exposure for new construction listings on Redfin, which, short story short, when another syndication site kind of seemingly imploded a while ago, I'm going to get hate mail just for mentioning that, but something happened out there in the world, and several builders that we work with just said, I'm choosing not to work with this syndication partner anymore. But they were feeding data to Redfin, and they were not concerned about kind of the core product. They were concerned about my homes won't show up on Redfin the way I want. So Redfin has always been surprising. It's a great website. It's a great user experience. But even folks who aren't in typical Redfin markets really covet the Redfin audience. And so it's a win for Zillow, a win for Redfin, and a win for marketers who use Zillow to promote those listings. So it's not very often where you see an announcement, you're like, kind of like who won, who lost in this announcement. I don't think anyone lost anything.
Yeah,
it's just a win.
Say no one losing in this. Pretty cool.
Next up from builderonline.com. Okay. Do they not own buildermagazine.com? Is there a different URL? Am I the only one who wonders this? Come on, Builder. Anyway, new home sales dipped 2.5% in June. Sales slid slightly month over month, but are up 23.8% year over year, according to the census. So new home sales volume down 2.5% June compared to May, but year over year up 23%.
Isn't that interesting? If they were to say new home sales up 23.8%, you'd be like, what in the world's happening? As far as like the buyer perception on that versus dipping, they're like, oh, the sky's falling. Prices will be super low soon. But if you say the opposite, people are like, oh my goodness, I better get some urgency. Like it's getting more expensive out there or whatever it may be. But
even just like looking
tell
at
the story
our
you want.
Numbers, it's in line with that. Like our builder partners, like I'm just looking at averages and what we saw, an increase in appointment to sale in Q2. And looking at 2022 sales averages and 2023 sales averages, it's up.
Yeah. And July, for most people, the first week with the holiday and lots of people traveling, slower, but the back half of July, it's cranking. The number of people who are just like, we hit, half of our sales goal in the last 4 days of the month, and really continuing into August, and rates ticking higher. Are higher rates starting to become like a good thing for new construction? You could argue like they have been, but I wonder if it's even more so making it better because builders have these. I mean,
there's more value.
I feel like 5% as a bought down interest rate is kind of like, like I'm desensitized to it. I mean, the average consumer isn't.
It seems average.
This stuff up, but
I thought I saw someone with a 3.9 the other day.
Yeah, 3.9, 4.875. These are 30-year fixed mortgages.
I
plus
heard
10K in closing.
We'll pay for your refinancing too.
Mm-hmm.
So
this is from Allie Wolf, the chief economist, is on to both supply and demand are down for housing given higher interest rates. Today's housing market is all about finding the right buyer for the right home at the right price, and that's a challenge. Compared to the resale market, though, new home builders are doing a better job working with consumers and are gaining market share.
Yeah, we had that Kevin article you sent a few of us. Builders have to build. Builders build. That's what they do, and so they have to sell. Compared to resale, it's realtors gonna sell. No, realtors will sell when they have the opportunity with a listing to sell. But builders are making the market. I don't know if that makes any sense what I just said. The realtors are there between the transaction, but no one's forcing a seller, a homeowner, me, to list the home. But builders are like, we have to sell. We have a company. We have revenue to create, and so we'll make it work. And so that's where I take. All right, the higher interest rates are pushing more people to builders.
What's
I mean, the home buyers that are out there have to move, and
they have to move.
New home builders are getting getting those buyers because there's nothing else on the market. So,
right. Yeah.
Is it Kesha who sings the song that has the lyrics like "Don't stop"?
That's for sure, Kesha. Yeah.
Very good, Kevin.
Good job.
Here's the only thing that makes me nervous, and it's our next article is also from Builder Online. Spec strategy drives record Q2 home closings and revenue for Meritage Homes. Listen, there's really only two options for builders right now. If you want to maintain velocity, the number of units that you are selling in a year, you are building more specs. And that strategy works until it doesn't. But I feel like the whole industry is singing this song of Kesha's "Please Don't Stop" market, because if you get caught, and whenever this happens, and it always does happen, it's going to be a double whammy, because at the same time that all of these specs will need to be urgently sold by builders, the used market will return at that exact same moment. And I don't have it for this show, but we'll try to get it for next week. Someone just did a survey that found that like 1 out of every 4 or 5 homeowners plans to sell their home they live in the next like 3 years. So
that makes total sense to me, because
but it's terrifying.
I know, but
as someone who lived through 2008.
I know, but I just think that maybe I'm misunderstanding what you're saying, but I just think that there was a lot of people who bought during the pandemic, like as a, and didn't really buy what they wanted.
Mm-hmm.
Just bought something.
Because of lack of supply. Like, I need a home. Like, I don't even care.
Right? Like, I don't care. Or, there was just limited or whatever. And I think there's going to be a lot of people that are like, I want to move now. Like, this isn't my forever home. I just needed something. I bought it. And
I think it was a Zonda data report that I saw. Zonda owns Builder Magazine as well. That showed that, I think it was Indianapolis market, and they showed the start data for speculative inventory in Indianapolis, and it had come way down from the peak in January, February of this year, I think. And the question was like, are builders going to replace that? And the top 10 builders who are building inventory pedal the metal. Like Meritage, Linares famously said, we're just going to keep building. D.R. Horton, of course, is going to keep building. And so they are going to gain market share as long as they have that strategy, because a lot of the smaller private builders are like, we'll keep doing some inventory, but we're not going to go as extreme as we have been because we're concerned about the fourth quarter or where things might go. Mm-hmm. So don't stop. Let it rock. What's the DJ play that song tonight? I don't know the lyrics to that song.
Yeah, I don't know. Let's
get it. Oh, I have an interruption. Maybe this will replace the next article, but it's random. There's a community. They built a spec. So they built spec townhomes. Mm-hmm. They did not pre-sale. And it's a smaller
this
builder.
Is what I'm saying. It's very common now. Everyone's like, we don't need to pre-sale.
A location.
Build specs.
Like, I'm like, why would they not pre-sale? Like, in my brain, I'm like, the whole thing would have been sold already. Because
they want to maximize their costs and profit margin. They want to know to the penny so they can maximize. And the assumption is certainty. They are creating certainty. They're truly building certainty in profit margin. And their theory, which is currently correct, is that every month they don't sell it, it will become worth more.
Yeah.
Right now, values are going up again.
Interesting.
But that's my point.
I saw their marketing; it's terrible. So I'm like, all right, there's maybe that seems much more intelligent, but the marketing, I'm like, oh my gosh, like.
It all makes sense. There's reasons why, but I'm just telling you that some projects like that are financed with debt that it's on a razor's edge. Like, they have to get those units sold within like 45 days of them being done, or the whole thing will go under. The bank will repossess it, turn it around, sell off the parts. And most likely that won't happen, but at some point it will.
Sounds very scary.
I'm not trying to be scary. I mean, look, folks, we're probably going to be, we're going to be sailing more or less, I think.
I like just more like create some certainty.
Yeah.
Creates certainty for the builder, but it also creates certainty for the buyer, because pre-sale, sometimes with pre-sale, right? That's like, well, it's hard to envision what will be going on.
Right.
To we went from Kesha, we'll go to Billy Joel. Honesty is such a lonely word. So that's all Kevin's doing. He's being the most honest. There we go. Who's next?
Sometimes it's things you don't want to know, by the way. You're like sometimes owners are like, you didn't need to tell us all that. Like, just let us live in our
let us live our life.
All right. Last article for the week from The Guardian, the Everything app. Why Elon Musk wants X to be a WeChat for the West. So WeChat is not WhatsApp, first of all. I've had several conversations with people like, I use WeChat all the time. And I'm like, what do you do on WeChat? Thinking they're going to talk about these other things that the super app can do. And they're like, I text people from other countries. I'm like, that's WhatsApp. That's a different,
it's Facebook.
It's a different app. Also green in color. But this idea of a super app, and Zillow wants to be a super app for real estate. What does that mean? That means they want multiple use cases for the Zillow app. Right now, what do? You use Zillow on the Zillow app. You make a connection, and then a lot of that stuff after that connection goes offline or on other websites that they own, like .loop. They want to bring everything within one app. So imagine if, and I don't think this is what they've said, and probably is a terrible idea, but imagine you're in the process of buying or selling a home. And at some point you're using the Zillow app so much that it just says like, hey, for $50 during the entire course of you buying or selling, you could do everything here. It would keep track of everything for you. All the paperwork here, all the pictures, all the comments, all the discussions, everything is contained in this one app in this archived experience for $50. Like, I would do that. Sign me up.
Yeah. It's only $50.
But Elon's trying. So Twitter is dead. We're moving on to X. But he wants X to be like WeChat, meaning get ready for. I mean, people were immediately asking like, okay, if Twitter is not Twitter, is it still called a tweet? Do you still retweet? Do you re-X? What do you? What's all the lingo? And he's basically saying, look, Twitter was acquired by X Corp, both to ensure freedom of speech. That's a question mark. I feel like I have to say that, even though I think generally he's trying to do that. As an accelerator for X, the Everything app. This is not simply a company renaming itself, but doing the same thing. Twitter made sense when it was just 140 characters going back and forth, but he wants you to be able to buy, sell, play games, do whatever you want to do. It's basically, WeChat, for those of you who are familiar with WeChat in other countries, like it is the internet. It's like 85% of all web traffic in some Southeast Asian countries goes through WeChat.
Wouldn't that be?
It's Facebook combined with Spotify.
Kind of like government policy really influences that.
I don't know,
Their use.
guys.
I mean, this is like now we're outside of scope of like what I know, like China, right? Like
yeah, but WeChat is also used, I believe, in like Brazil, and I mean, so it's not a communist plot. Is that like we want to see everything going
there?
Through?
We got UFOs to talk about next week. Let's do that.
Oh, can I come back on?
Maybe it is a communist plot. I don't know.
I'm just thinking like, is it's popular and what seems to be more restricted? Or I've never been to other countries culturally wise, but like people are like, oh, this country's amazing. Like their culture is so much different than our culture. Like we're like,
I think
the underdogs.
The clearest parallel to try to keep Jen from falling asleep on us.
No,
Jen,
I'm thinking about this. I don't know.
Jen, do you use Snapchat at all with your kids to like keep up with them?
I have, but I'm not on there regularly now.
I'm not on there.
I have it.
I used to be.
If you use Snapchat, I think has one of the worst UI user interfaces of any app. Intentionally so to make it hard for old people to catch on.
Really?
So if you know, think about how, again, Meta rolled out Threads. You want to get on Threads, you got to know what to type in. You click this weird ticket thing, and the thing spins around, you get access, right? It was this is intentionally like strange or difficult to get to. You can use Snapchat for years like I did and not know that there's some core functionality that all the kids are using.
Yeah.
Once you know it's there, you're like, oh, of course, you just click this over here and now you can see where all your friends are and you can do this thing and that thing. I think WeChat, it's like this never ending spiral of like,
gotcha.
All my friends are here. I'm all connected. If I want to play a game or order food or watch a movie or like, it's just all in one spot. and it's connected to my bank account and my credit card. And
I guess the old lady in me does have, like, I would be hesitant to have everything connected. I guess that's what I'm saying. Like, I don't know if I would want.
That's why I think Elon. So what does Elon have going for him? He has Tesla. If X becomes the way to gain access to or control your Tesla, and he's like, forget the Tesla app. It's now part of X. You want to get access to your car? You go into X. Oh, and by the way, you can also communicate with people and follow Ashton Kutcher and, do this and do that all in the same place.
Yeah.
But the history of the US has generally been that things don't, what's the word I'm looking for? Converge. Things generally don't converge the way we expect them to. Where like you could back in the 80s or the early 90s, you could get a really nice boom box.
Oh yeah.
Andrew, do you know what a boom box is?
Yeah, I was born in 89.
Have you seen that movie? Say Anything?
Oh, I don't know if I'd seen that movie, but I definitely had a.
Oh my gosh. Stop.
Say Anything. That was probably Jen might have graduated high school when it came out. I was born in 89.
You've got the boombox, which has a tape player. It has the radio. It has
like standing with it.
A lot of things all in one.
Yeah.
But rack systems were the deal. Like if you were really into audio, you had a rack system because each component was exponentially better or higher quality or whatever. And so the idea is you're going to converge, and we do have convergence in the phone for a lot of things in our life, but almost everything else, we tend to go towards specialized tasks for an object, even though it could go into your kitchen. Alton Brown, I got this thing from when I saw him in person, autographed behind me. Love it. But one of his rules is like nothing in my kitchen can only do one thing. Everything in my kitchen has to have three purposes. Or I don't like you could have a bazillion gadgets that all do one thing.
True.
Because then you have less and it's more efficient, is what you're saying.
Yeah. But that's not generally where like our stuff obsessed culture goes. We're like,
we want like premium.
We'll get the doodad that does the one thing like super amazing, and we'll use it twice and then throw it away.
I feel like this only will work if there's either acquisition of it's like Venmo or Cash App, or they partner together somehow, where then it's like enough people that fit the right demographic.
Didn't you say Spotify too?
And I don't know if anyone cares that we're still talking about this really, but like, where did Elon come from? PayPal.
We lost everybody.
Who owns PayPal?
Elon came from PayPal, so it's not. It would not be weird to be like, hey, PayPal's struggling. PayPal's struggling as a corporation. Let's just acquire them. Let's roll them into X. Hey, let's grab Spotify. Now I've got music. By the way, do you know Spotify has as much video content on it now as
No.
Like if you want to try to control your 8-year-old screen time when you're thinking, well, but he likes listening to his kids' music on Spotify. Nope. Now there's like entire playlists that are just YouTube videos on Spotify for you to watch. Yeah.
Sneaky. Sounds like someone got their iPad taken away after that.
Yeah, they did. They sure did.
Sounds like our house.
Oh goodness. All right. Let's go to favorites and get the heck out of here. Do we have favorites? I can go first if you need a second.
My favorite thing right now are my new Hoka walking shoes.
Ooh,
interesting.
Have you guys
heard
of those? Yeah, Hoka. They're super kind of like clumsy looking.
I'll need to ask Olivia on her team if they're okay to wear or not. She's our
I think Olivia would
coolness
approve.
detector.
I think Olivia would approve.
We did ask everyone on the marketing team today who owns Crocs. There were only 2 people who raised their hand that said they own Crocs for themselves.
They're back in.
I think they're also the 2 youngest people on the team.
They're back in style. Does Sam have Crocs?
Absolutely.
And does he wear socks with them?
Absolutely.
Is this Dr. Seuss socks with Crocs in a box?
He probably wears Nike socks
with locks.
Nike. Oh, there we go. I like the
All right, cool. So you got shoes. Yeah. Andrew, what about you? Anything?
Favorites? I've had because of my new schedule. So now I wake up, I drink coffee in the morning, which normally coffee would be hit or miss, but it's like most of the week I had coffee. I still love my Nespresso machine.
Oh, yes.
But here's the thing. I'm like, what is this on the counter? I thought I was making a mess on the counter. I think it's broken. Like something's leaking out of the bottom. It's just like,
Oh.
I'm like, this
You
cup
need
seems like a
the
little
spin
short.
thing like Kevin has.
Well, the spin thing's
a
a little
cult.
different budget category, but I think it might be a longer.
I'm over here in the Keurig.
There might be a ROI.
Now when you have to buy those pod things for your
That's what I'm
espresso,
thinking.
those aren't
like
cheap.
I made this. This was like $1.20. I think the
This
spin thing
pod
might
thing.
actually, in 6 months, like pay for
The
itself.
spin does use more coffee in the process, I think, because it seems to consume whole bean coffee at a faster rate than you would expect per cup. So
I'll have to do I'll throw it in Excel and
But it's good.
do a little analysis. See what happens.
I'm gonna go with clothing too, Jen, which is a shocker for Kevin.
Yeah.
Cool, KUHL, I think is how you pronounce the name of the company. And then there's another one called Howitzer, I think. It's like a monkey. But they're shirts that I got going to Nepal because it's 120 degrees in the sun, 105 in the shade.
Not bad.
And so it's these shirts that are made out of essentially bathing suit material. And I'm wearing one now, and it feels great. And like you can sweat like a pig, and then 5 minutes later,
for fever, COVID fever.
Yeah.
That's good.
No, I love it.
I'll take it.
They don't wrinkle. They're just like a perfect shirt for summer, which is almost over, sadly.
Very cool.
I like it.
All right.
All the favorites.
That'll do it for this week. We'll see you next time, everyone.
Thanks, guys.
See y'all.
Bye.